You know, my voice sounds a little different. No, I'm not a robot. It's just a gift from the universe. I'll give you 5 seconds to get used to it. Let's begin. You noticed you were actually always doing the same thing. You thought everyone felt differently, but you had never asked. You had never asked anyone, because asking meant accepting you were different, and you never wanted to be different, but you already were. Now I'm gonna ask you something. Don't answer right away. When you hear a sound, do you see a color? When you hear a name, do you feel a texture? Before you say no, wait a second, because the answer to this question is more complex than you think. Don't reject it immediately and think, I'm waiting. Your brain is lying to you every day without you noticing. You think you see the world. Actually, your brain is presenting you with an interpretation, not raw data, interpreted data. And in some people, this interpretation crosses boundaries. A sound turns into a color. A word turns into a taste. A day turns into a shape. Science calls this synesthesia, but we'll give it another name in this video. We'll call it leakage, because actually we all have it. It's just very small in most of us. Too small to notice, but there is something. This leakage is not just about senses. Some people don't just see colors in sounds. Some people see other emotions in emotions. An anger hidden inside sadness. A fear hidden inside joy. This should have a name too, shouldn't it? We'll get there shortly. Not now. I'm gonna have you imagine 2 shapes. One is round. Edges are soft, like a cloud. The other is sharp. Corners are jagged, almost like broken glass. Now think of 2 words. Bobo, Kiki. Which one is which? Did you think about it? If you said Bobo for the round one and Kiki for the sharp one, you are not alone. The vast majority of people do the same. This experiment has been repeated for decades, in different languages, in different age groups, even in illiterate communities. The result is always the same. Why? No one knows exactly, but there is a possibility. Your mouth rounds when saying Bobo. Your tongue strikes sharply when saying Kiki. Your brain is converting sound into shape without you noticing. Here is your first piece of evidence. You do this too, like everyone. Your brain never tired you out. It just merged you. But in some people, this merging doesn't stop. It doesn't end with the Kiki Bobo experiment. For them, every sound is a color. Every day is a texture. Every number is like a personality. Why this is so strong in some people, we'll talk about shortly. But first, I have to ask you something. Have you ever felt a color while listening to a song? Maybe you haven't felt it. Maybe you've just never noticed it. The word synesthesia comes from Greek. Syn, together. Aesthesis, perception. United perception. When one sense is triggered, another sense also activates. Involuntarily, uncontrollably. In a small part of the population, this is very pronounced. They see colors when they hear sounds. They taste things when they read letters. But what's really striking is this. Most of them don't even know they are different. They think everyone sees the world the same way. Until someone asks, do you see it like this too? When I first heard this, I thought this is impossible. This is something miraculous, I said. A very impressive piece of information. Let's slow down. Imagine a scene. You are a small child. The teacher says a number in class. 7. At that moment, you see a color. Maybe green, maybe brown. You raise your hand. Isn't 7 brown? You say. The class looks at you. The teacher smiles but is confused. That day you understand. Not everyone sees what you see. And after that day, you never ask again. You hide it quietly. If you are listening to my voice right now, that's a good sign. It means you're still curious. It means you're still asking. Let's continue. We asked earlier whether other emotions are hidden in emotions. The answer, yes. But this isn't called synesthesia. This is called suppression. Someone who can't accept they are angry turns it into sadness. Someone who can't accept fear turns it into anger. This is also a kind of leakage. One emotion mixing into another, just like sound mixing into color. You might be doing this too, without even realizing it. Now I'm going to explain 3 things. Why this merging is so strong in some people. Why it's non-existent in some. And which one you are closer to. Reason 1, early wiring. When your brain is born, the boundaries between senses are not clear. Babies somewhat see sounds, somewhat hear colors. Over time, the brain draws these boundaries, separates, organizes. But in some, this boundary drawing process isn't fully completed. A small door remains ajar. Imagine a baby. It hears its mother's voice. That voice is not just sound for it. It's something warm, something soft. Subscribe to my channel and find more content for yourself. As it grows, this warmth should disappear. But in some, it doesn't disappear. Do you still feel some sounds? Not just hear them? Your brain forgot to separate you. Maybe it didn't want to forget. Reason 2, memory confusion. Some memories don't come with a single sense. A smell reminds you of a room. A color reminds you of a person. A piece of music reminds you of a year. The brain doesn't store these separately. It stores them together. Like a knot. A song plays. A song you heard years ago. Suddenly you are in that room. You smell that smell. You see that light. The song is no longer just sound. It's a place, a time, person. When you hear a song, do you also go thinking about something else? There is one more thing, but you are not ready for it yet. This merging is not just about the past. Sometimes it's about who you are. Why do some people describe themselves like a color? Why Why do some people say, I am a blue person? The answer to this is at the end of the video. Not now. Some people think this is a talent. Some think it's a disorder. Both are wrong. This is neither a gift nor a disease. This is just a different wiring, and everyone has it. Just the dosage differs. In some, it's very pronounced. In some, it's just like an intuition. Maybe you never see colors, but maybe when you hear a name, you think that name doesn't suit them. That's also a kind of leakage. Small but real. The third reason is the most interesting one. Your brain can't process everything, so it selects. Some people's brains are less selective between senses, leaking more things. That's why for them, the world is more intense, more colorful, sometimes more exhausting. You are in a crowded place. Everyone is talking. Music is playing. Lights are shining. You feel this as too much, but the person next to you feels nothing. They think you are sensitive. Do you think so too? Maybe you are not sensitive. Maybe you just sense more things. Do you remember? We asked why this is so strong in some. Now you know the answer. Early wiring, memory knots, low selective attention. When these three combine, person emerges. A person who feels the world too much. Maybe this is exactly who you are. This is not just about color and sound. This also happens in work life. In a meeting, you say, the atmosphere got heavy, but the air didn't change. You felt something. You turned it into air. It also happens in relationships. Someone looks at you. They don't say anything, but you feel there's something. You usually turn out to be right. It also happens within the family. A silence feels heavier than 1,000 words. It also happens in your decisions. The logical option is clear, but a color inside you doesn't match that option, and you listen to that color, not logic. It also happens in your habits. Some days feel heavy. Some days feel light. While there is no difference on the calendar, all the same thing. Leakage everywhere. You think you are a logical person, but most of the time you are listening to the color. Now I'm going to tell you something disturbing. Because of this leakage, sometimes you make wrong decisions. You meet a person. In the first second, you feel a color. That color is warm. It gives trust, but that color is not real. Just the tone of their voice. Just someone a word reminds you of. You didn't know that person. You just recognized a leakage. And years later you ask, why did I trust them? The answer is simple. Because you don't choose people, you choose colors. Imagine one more scene. You are at a moment of decision. There are two options. One is safe. One is risky. Your logic says safe, but there is a weight inside you. The color of the risky one is more vivid. Which one do you choose? Most of the time, the vivid one. Then you invent a logical reason. But that wasn't the real reason. The real reason was a feeling, a leakage. Now let's raise the tension a bit. If you also operate this way, this is not a flaw of yours. This is a part of your operating system. But if you don't notice it, this leakage starts managing you, not you managing it. One day you realize most of your decisions were made not with logic, but with color. And at that moment, you have to ask yourself, do I choose or does the leakage? There is a price for noticing this, because now you can't trust like before. The feeling, the color, an inner voice sentence. You have to ask, is this a real intuition or an old leakage? Sometimes it's hard to separate the two. Very hard. But precisely because of this, some people make the same mistakes over and over again throughout their lives. They trust the same color every single time. The color doesn't change. Only the person changes. The result always remains the same. Now let's go back to the beginning. I asked at the start of the video whether you see a color when you hear a sound. Maybe you saw, maybe you didn't, but now you know it's not really about color. The point is this: you never saw the world raw. You always saw it with an interpretation, and that interpretation came from your past, came from your fears, came from your leakages. Every moment you thought you were being objective, you were actually choosing a color. One day you noticed you were actually always doing the same thing. You thought everyone felt differently, but you had never asked. You had never asked anyone, because asking meant accepting you were different, and you never wanted to be different, but you already were. So ask yourself this: was that last decision you just made really yours? Or did you just like the color? You know the answer. You don't need to say it. In the next video I talked about you. Subscribe to my channel and find more content for yourself.